hope that I can. The target of my question can be not only the second panel contributors but others. I have recognized in connection with the pan-European movement that as to the logo or coat of arms of this movement, it's also included 12 stars. And my question, and of course we can find these 12 stars also in the coat of arms, first of all of the Council of Europe, and nowadays in the European Union coat of arms or logo. Sorry, my question is quite general. First of all, what is the meaning of this logo, and how it? What is the reason of the similarities? Do you have any comments in connection with this?
I heard only personally Otto von Habsburg explaining it, that the 12 stars were because of Our Lady, of the Virgin Mary. This was the idea. I heard it also for the European Union, of the logo of the European Union. He usually started his conferences about Europe, explaining why the European logo has 12 stars, and in his interpretation, at least, it were the 12 stars of the Blessed Mary. The blue color is traditionally the color which is used for Blessed Mary, and the 12 stars also. So this was the point. But maybe there are other explanations too.
This symbolic was born inside the Council of Europe, not inside the European Union, but this symbolic was born inside the Council of Europe, and and later the European Union versions borrowed this symbolic because the
Or still tall.
Maybe this symbol, the 12 stars, is a symbol of the perfect circle, more or less. But I don't know. Where is the camera? Maybe this. Maybe.
I'm going to delete it. My first question is, what was the situation in connection with pan-European movement? That in that point, maybe it is this meaning, this Christian meaning, because as far as I know, in connection with Council of Europe, they try to somehow avoid direct relationship between religious issues. However, as far as I know, the establishers of these movements, finally they indirectly try to involve these messages.
I think in the first period of Council of Europe, the Christian Democratic and Social Democrats played very important role in the establishment and in the first decades of Council of Europe.
The very first time it was still a Christian movement also.
Schumann essentially was in front of the statue of the Blessed Mary in Brussels.
Yeah.
In Brussels. And it was inspiration to see this coronation.
I think the attitude to the Christian heritage of Europe was in the old time was totally different than today, maybe. But I think Council of Europe does not have big problem with Christianity, but the attitude was the different. Maybe European integration is the common product of the Catholic or Christian politicians and social democrats, more or less the social democrats. Yes.
After the breakdown of Nazism and the expansion of Soviet communism in the heart of Europe, the unique idea was remained this restoration of Christianity among these leaders in France, Germany and Italy. No? This idea, Christian democratic ideology, is the unique way to confront with the menacing of the Soviet Union, of Soviet communism, after the end of the Second World War.
when it took this switch of languages part, because we can imagine that in the first years also of pan-European movement and so on, the language would have been German, and now we are speaking all English. I think because the Donor Federation, it should be perhaps a little bit closer to German language. Or maybe even, as in former times, to French. There was another point. No, it was German, it was French, and nowadays it's English.
German, French, and Russian
Yes.
Are the official languages of Danube Commission, but the working language is English,
Yes.
more or less, inside the apparatus, more or less. What do you think, as young people, about the perspective? It's a heavy question about the perspective of European integration in the time of multi-crisis. In the time of multi-crisis. Because my experience with students or with young people is maybe the main attitude. Maybe the main attitude of young people today is more pessimistic. More pessimistic as the attitude of our generation. For example, I think we are the members more or less of the optimistic generation after the post-transitional optimistic generation. But the current world is full with the crisis, COVID, Ukrainian war, etc. What do you think? This is true? This pessimism of your generation or not?
Your vision is correct because of the crisis and the multiple crises that we have to live through. I think your opinion is correct that we see a little bit differently these things, and maybe we are towards more pessimistic overview as a whole. But I think here we still try to keep up the positive aspects as well. But yes, you are right, because of the crises, multiple crises. I think in some way it's falling apart, this aspect. But overall, we hope that after the crises we can go back to a more optimistic way of thinking.
We had too many once-in-a-lifetime events in the last maybe 5 years. So for us maybe it's not pessimistic, but for us it becomes normal, which is really dangerous, to be honest, and it's not a good thing. But yeah, for us, this pessimistic way of thinking becomes normal after such events.
Do you know the drama of Slavomir Mrožek? Drama Tango. And what is the main conflict in this? This drama?
I mean, I'm not sure. That was years ago when I read it. So.
The main conflict is the conflict between the old liberals and young conservatives. The parents are very liberal, and the son is very conservative. And maybe for our future will be typical the conflict between the young realists and the old idealists. I don't know. And what means for you? What means for you the European integration? What is the main privilege or the biggest privilege of European Union?
I would say that free borders are a huge advantage because we can be there, and we are from Poland, Croatia, etc., and we don't really have to deal with the formal issues to get to Hungary, most of us at least, So I would say that for me personally this is the biggest perk probably, and for example for Poland, because I'm from Poland, I think the development, because we really got the funds from Europe and we could invest them in the way that we really developed, and I think in last 10 or even 15 years. So I would say that those two things were the biggest advantages for me as a Polish citizen, yes, and as a citizen of Europe.
When I was in university, for example, I was questioning all of the professors who were dealing with EU law in such sectors. I was questioning, should Should have it been a better plan to stay in this economic sense of EU, or should we go further? And besides, everyone liked kind of the situation what we are now and these freedoms, what Blazej just told. And everyone said that maybe it was, the beginning was economical and we built this whole integration on an economical basis, which in some cases it not fits.
I think it's more natural for us now. At this point, it's natural for us to freely move in this context. I can't believe, I can't imagine Europe without it, and I hope it will not stop. But who knows? Who knows at this moment? But yes, and also what I wanted to add, that I think the biggest strength is the biggest issue of the European Union, because it wants to spread its wings in every aspect. And we talked today about the patriotism as well, and how we have to balance the feeling of being in the European Union and also being a part of a country. So the balancing, it's the most important, and I think the most problematic as well for the European Union.
I also had the thought that maybe when your generation or the generation of our parents, for example, they entered into the adulthood, and it was just after the transition, they didn't know how it will turn, and therefore they were very optimistic because they knew how it was previously. But right now we are, let's say, rooted into this system, and after these 30 years we can see what is not working, and there are actually some things that are not working, and therefore maybe we are a little bit less optimistic than our parents, for example, were. So, yeah.
I have to distinguish between the attitude of my generation, attitude of my parents' generation, because maybe the transition for the generation of my parents is more problematic. They we were very young in 89 without more or less obligations. without obligations. For me, the transition, the collapse of communism was maybe the main event in my life, the main positive event in my life. What about the decades after? Yes, it's problem. It's not very. This period is had good and bad dimensions. I think the crisis of our days is in the limited form the consequence of the half successful transition, but every transition was also always half success. Communism, anti-communism, democratic transition. The real life is the real life is grey, more or less. Is grey. 50 color of grays, but I don't know. Thank you.